All right, friends, let's talk about the quiet power in stepping back. In dating and relationships, many women are taught that if you like someone, you show it, prove it, try. But trying too hard doesn't lead to love. It often leads to exhaustion. And what's worse, it creates imbalance. When it comes to dating and relationships, one of the biggest misconceptions is that love and attraction are something you earn through effort. That if you just try hard enough, send the right texts, make the perfect plans, accommodate their every mood or schedule, you'll win them over. But that idea is not only false, it's damaging, because real attraction doesn't come from convincing someone to want you. It comes from someone realizing your value on their own. You don't attract someone by bending over backward or constantly proving that you care. In fact, the more effort you put into showing someone that you're worthy of their attention, the more you subtly suggest that their attention is more valuable than your own energy. You begin to create a dynamic where their approval becomes the prize and you're just the one trying to earn it. That imbalance is felt deeply and it actually weakens attraction over time. Think about the people you're naturally drawn to. It's usually not the ones who are always trying too hard. It's the ones who are comfortable in their own skin, who show up as they are, and who don't need to be chosen in order to feel complete. Why? Because their energy says, I know what I bring to the table. If you see it, great. If not, I'm not here to convince you. That kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. When a woman steps out of the mindset of trying to earn someone's affection and instead starts living from her own sense of value, everything shifts. Her energy changes. Her conversations become more relaxed. She's no longer anxiously checking her phone for a reply or adjusting her standards just to keep someone's interest. She becomes centered, grounded, and self-led. That change is not just felt by her, it's felt by everyone around her, including the man she was once trying so hard to impress. When you stop trying to be chosen, you often become the one who stands out the most, because now you're not operating from scarcity, you're operating from abundance. You're not acting from a place of lack, you're anchored in your worth. And in a world where so many people chase validation, that kind of energy becomes rare and therefore extremely valuable. Attraction is not earned by effort. It's revealed through self-worth. It's experienced when someone sees how complete and fulfilled you already are and wants to be a part of that. The moment you realize that you don't have to prove your value is the moment you truly start to own it. And once you do, people will either rise to meet you or they'll fall away. Either outcome is a gift. There's a quiet strength in knowing when to stop. In the early stages of a relationship, or even long into one, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if you just try a little harder, give a little more, or hold on a little tighter, things will eventually click into place. But the truth is, holding on when you're the only one putting in effort doesn't lead to closeness. It leads to resentment. And that's where the power of walking away comes in. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you didn't try. It means you finally recognized that your energy was being spent on someone who wasn't meeting you halfway. And instead of trying to fix it, convince them, or overcompensate, you chose yourself. That single decision to stop chasing and step back is often what wakes someone up, not because you're manipulating them, but because you've removed the comfort of your consistent effort. When someone knows you'll always be there, always texting first, always checking in, always giving without asking, they stop considering what it would feel like to not have you around. Familiarity turns into complacency. But when you walk away, when you withdraw your energy, something shifts. They're left to feel the weight of your absence. And if they ever truly valued you, they will notice it deeply. This isn't about punishment, it's about clarity. Walking away creates space. Space for you to breathe, to see things objectively, and to reconnect with your standards. And it also creates space for the other person to reflect. Sometimes people don't realize what they had until it's no longer in front of them, readily available and doing all the work. Your departure becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their own behavior or lack of investment. It's also a moment of self-liberation, because walking away isn't just about them. It's about you reclaiming your power. It's about refusing to shrink yourself in hopes that someone might finally see your worth. When you walk away, you're saying, I know what I bring, and I'm not afraid to lose what's not meant for me. That kind of self-assurance is transformative, not only in your love life, but in how you approach every relationship in your world. The moment you stop trying and walk away with dignity is often the moment the dynamic changes. People notice when the energy they once took for granted disappears. It's in your absence that they're confronted with the reality of who you were to them. And if they truly miss you, not just the attention, but that realization comes not while you're pleading, but when you're gone. Walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And in many cases, it's the very thing that turns uncertainty into clarity, not just for them, but for you. Scarcity increases perceived value. It's basic human psychology. When something is limited or less accessible, we tend to assign it greater importance. The same rule applies to relationships. When someone is constantly available, always saying yes, always ready to give their time and energy, it's easy for others to stop recognizing the value of what they're receiving. It becomes expected, assumed, and eventually taken for granted. This doesn't mean you should play games or deliberately withhold affection. It's not about being cold or manipulative. It's about understanding that over-availability can dilute your presence. When you're always the first to reach out, the one adjusting plans, the one making emotional space for another person without any pause, you unintentionally teach them to undervalue your time and presence. Not because they're bad or selfish, but because humans naturally grow accustomed to what's constantly there. When a woman stops trying and starts creating space, she introduces a form of emotional scarcity. She's no longer endlessly pouring energy into someone who isn't giving her the same in return. That shift often surprises people. It creates a sense of curiosity, even confusion. Where did she go? Why isn't she texting like before? Why does it feel different without her energy? Suddenly, what was once easily accessible is now uncertain, and that changes everything. This isn't about disappearing for attention. It's about restoring balance. Scarcity isn't the goal. It's the byproduct of healthy boundaries. When you stop being available at the drop of a hat, people are forced to reevaluate the role you played in their life. The quiet support, the consistent affection, the emotional effort, they start to notice those things once they're no longer receiving them automatically. And here's the deeper truth. You're not stepping back to make them miss you. You're stepping back because you've realized your energy is precious. You're no longer interested in handing it out freely to someone who isn't treating it with care. That natural distance gives them the chance to reflect, and often that's when they begin to understand what they truly had. It's in your absence that they feel your value most, because now they have to sit in the quiet where your voice used to be. They have to wonder about your day instead of hearing about it. They feel the emotional space you once filled, and that space feels a lot bigger than they thought. Creating scarcity isn't about withholding love, it's about honoring yourself. You don't need to always be present to be unforgettable. In fact, sometimes it's the pause, the breath, the gap you create by stepping back that becomes the most powerful part of your presence. When you stop trying and let there be space, you give others the chance to truly feel the difference you made in their life and decide whether they're willing to meet you at your level. There is nothing more magnetic than a woman who carries herself with self-respect. It's not something she has to announce, prove, or explain. It's felt. It's in the way she speaks, the way she moves, the way she makes decisions. Self-respect quietly communicates, I know my worth, and I won't settle for less than I deserve. And when a woman lives from that place, she becomes naturally attractive, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and energetically. Self-respect isn't arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing you don't need to chase, beg, or prove yourself in order to be loved. It's rooted in the understanding that your time, energy, and emotional availability are valuable resources, not to be given freely to someone who isn't showing up for you in return. When a woman operates from self-respect, she raises the bar without even trying. She doesn't demand love. She invites it by holding space for only what aligns with her standards. This kind of inner confidence is what naturally filters out the wrong people. Someone who isn't ready to meet you on your level will feel that boundary and either rise to the occasion or fall away. And either outcome is okay, because a woman who respects herself doesn't fear loss. She fears being stuck in something that doesn't honor her. She'd rather be alone with peace than together in chaos. The incredible thing is that this energy doesn't push people away. It draws the right ones closer. Why? Because it's rare. In a world where many are taught to mold themselves to fit into someone else's life, the woman who stands firm in her values becomes unforgettable. She's not easy to win over, not because she's playing hard to get, but because she won't lower her standards for temporary connection. That in itself becomes a challenge, and not the manipulative kind, but the kind that inspires genuine effort. Men respect a woman who respects herself. Whether they say it out loud or not, they feel it. They recognize that this isn't someone who can be strung along. She isn't impressed by breadcrumbs, late-night texts, or inconsistent attention. Her self-respect sets the tone. If you want me in your life, show me through consistency, effort, and clarity. That expectation may intimidate the wrong people, but it will empower the right ones to step up. And even if someone doesn't rise to meet her, she doesn't break her own boundaries to accommodate them. She knows that real connection doesn't require sacrificing self-worth. It requires mutual respect. And that starts with how she treats herself. Chasing only pushes them further away, not because they don't like you, but because they don't feel the space to choose you. Healthy connection is rooted in mutual desire, not desperation. It's about both people willingly showing up with a natural rhythm of giving and receiving. When that balance is lost and one person starts doing all the work, the energy shifts from attraction to obligation, and no one feels good in that dynamic. Not the person doing the chasing and not the one being chased. It's not romantic to be over-pursued. It feels uncomfortable and overwhelming. What many people don't realize is that trying too hard can actually repel the very person you want to get close to, because it sends a subtle message. I don't believe I'm enough as I am, so I need to do more to make you stay. But true attraction doesn't come from proving your worth. It comes from owning it, from showing up with the belief that I'm already enough. If you see that, amazing. If not, I'll keep moving. When a woman stops trying too hard, she doesn't become passive or disinterested. She becomes balanced. She lets go of trying to control the outcome and allows the connection to develop, or not organically. She stops initiating every interaction and watches to see if the other person begins to take the lead. She stops explaining her value and starts living it, knowing that the right person will feel it without needing a sales pitch. Effort should be mutual. If you're always the one reaching out, adjusting your schedule, making the plans, or emotionally carrying the interaction, it's not a relationship. It's a performance. And performances are exhausting. And letting go of the need to try so hard is not about giving up. It's about creating space for genuine effort from the other side. Because the person who truly wants to be in your life won't need convincing. They'll show up. They'll try too. And when that happens, the relationship will feel lighter, freer, and more real. Because it's no longer being held together by fear, but by choice. When a woman stops trying, something powerful happens. He begins to see her differently. Not because she suddenly changed who she is, but because she stopped giving her energy to someone who wasn't truly valuing it. In the silence of her withdrawal, he's faced with a version of her that no longer seeks his attention, validation, or effort. And that contrast can be jarring, especially if he'd grown used to her always being there. This shift doesn't happen when she yells, begs, or tries to explain how she feels. It happens quietly, when she stops texting first, when she stops overthinking how to keep his interest, when she no longer rearranges her life around his availability. It's in that stillness that he he starts to notice the difference. What he once ignored or overlooked now stands out. Her absence becomes louder than her presence ever was when she was trying so hard to be seen. When she was constantly trying, he never had to wonder where he stood. He knew she was available, emotionally invested, and willing to put in the effort, even if he wasn't matching it. But when she stops, he loses that certainty. And in many cases, that uncertainty sparks a realization that he may have underestimated her value. He begins to remember the way she made him feel, the warmth, the support, the connection, and starts to question why he didn't appreciate it more when he had it. It's not about playing mind games or manipulating emotions. It's about reaching a point where she's no longer willing to overextend herself. She's no longer interested in holding space for someone who doesn't meet her there. Her silence becomes her boundary. And boundaries have a way of exposing the truth. Whether someone was truly invested or just enjoying the convenience of her effort, the beauty of this transformation is that it repositions her in his mind. She's no longer the one who's waiting around or proving herself. She's the one who knows her worth and isn't afraid to walk away if it's not being recognized. That energy is powerful. It creates a sense of mystery, depth, and strength. He starts to miss not just what she gave, but who she was, because now he's seeing her not through the lens of her pursuit, but through the lens of her presence without. This shift gives her clarity too. She sees who he becomes when she stops trying. If he steps up, communicates, and makes an effort, that tells her something real. If he fades into the background without resistance, that's an answer too. Either way, she wins because she's no longer living in the exhausting cycle of trying to be enough for someone who couldn't recognize that she already was. The woman who stops trying becomes the one he misses most. Not because she disappeared, but because in stepping back, she finally allowed herself to be seen clearly. And in that space, he's the one who has to decide if he's ready to meet her at her level or let her go.